will learn to fight. I will learn to fly. I will learn to kill. I don't learn to die. Taking back the walls, taking back our life. Strike on every tank until they out of sight. I will learn to stand. I don't learn to
I'm just gonna get some jack off money.
Most of these fuckers, they just go to the casino right next door.
Exactly. All right, John. So, how's your month been?
Are we starting? Oh,
that was it. That was supposed to be the segue, John.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I was still caught up in that Pawn Stars. I was invested. No, it's been good. I've done absolutely nothing as intended. I intended to take 2 months off before I started getting serious again. Just 'cause it's been a long, serious time. And yeah, I played Dishonored 2, and I liked it.
Dishonored 2 is cool. Did you play, what is it, Death of the Outsider or whatever the fuck the DLC was called?
No, the little, like, third offshoot one? No, not yet.
Yeah, I believe it's like Wolfenstein Youngblood, except good.
Ouch.
So, there was that. What else? I mean, you've been playing a lot, so, like, what else do you got going on?
What else am I playing? I stopped playing Outer Worlds. I actually got burned out on that.
Really?
I did everything on Monarch, and I was just like, all right, it's time to set this aside. Been playing the game I'm not allowed to like, just because I like skins.
Don't worry, there's a lot of that on today's docket. So
I can only imagine. Why is there a sequel? Anyway, what else? Oh, I bought a DS for myself, and I started playing Pokemon White.
Oh, cool! I thought Dark Souls, and then I got confused when you said Pokemon White, and I said, "Oh, okay."
Because DS.
I was gonna say you just got Dark Souls. I was like, that's a little late, but sure, it's a good game.
It is.
Anyways, but what's up? What else?
Trying to think what else.
At one point, you listed a lot, so I'm not expecting you to remember all that. But
no, I did. I'm trying to remember what I'm actually still playing from when I sent you that list. That might be it. Pokemon's kind of taking up all my time. I got it.
Are you prepping for Sword and Shield, or are you just playing it to play?
I just wanted to play it again because I got nostalgia for Gen 5 for some reason. But yeah, no, that took like all my time. I think I got it yesterday. Yeah, I got it yesterday, and I have 15 hours already.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So literally all my time just going around grinding, but it's fun.
All right.
How about you?
I have been, if I was going over my whole month, Witcher 3, Hat in Time, and now Children of Morta. All Switch. Oh, my stomach just went...
I heard.
You might hear something else. I'm going to try to talk over it. I'm going to be like that one newscaster. Did you see those clips of that guy? That's basically what I'm trying to do right now. Okay.
No, I didn't. What happened?
I forgot the name of it. It's like this politics reporter man, and he just, like... He'll talk and he'll be like, so next up on the docket, the docket was he on podcast? So next up we have candidate, and then like you'll hear it go, and you'll hear it go, clearly paused and farted and then kept going but somebody thought he was slick.
Why would you take?
I don't know.
Why would you take a pause, but anyway,
I know, right? But yeah, so there's that. A lot going on this month, so we're just going to get right into it.
Groovy.
John and I touched on this last time. We got a bit of different point of views now that some time has gone by, so in order to not lead in, I'll let John talk about it first. We were talking about Blizzard, obviously, last time. That's where we touched on, and it continued since then. There were more developments. But before I get into that, because we kind of talked about this a little bit candid, but I told you to save a bit of it for the cast. Mm-hmm. What have you observed as someone who doesn't stay in the news circle like I do on the inner ring of things?
Yeah.
From the more casual perspective of what you've seen, how have you seen the social media lately in regards to regarding Blizzard?
The few instances on which I actually go on social media,
right? Or even here. I mean, you work with and talk to people too, if there's any case, but. We are in a society. We live in a society, so things happen.
The societies. It almost seems from
what you've seen,
outsider's almost perspective, it's like, oh, Diablo 4, Blizzard did what? Like, cool, the new shiny toys have kind of come out, so
okay,
forget.
And that is exactly what Blizzard wanted, and that's why a couple episodes ago we were pretty upset because so for those of you who don't know about the whole what's transgressed over, obviously you guys have listened to the podcast before, especially the main cast, you guys know we beat all that to death, so check those out. But the last time John and I talked, we kind of talked about the beginnings of it all, the controversies of what Blizzard's done to freedom of speech in Hong Kong and all that stuff. What happened since John and I last spoke is the CEO of Blizzard, J. Allen Brack, known Creed cosplayer. No, I'm just joking. He's not really Scott Staff cosplayer, but it looks like he does do that. But basically, anyways,
I had to think like the band or the games.
Oh yeah, right. But he both is relevant. So he did a non-apology, and so people who are on the inside, right? You're talking about your Sterlings, your Castle Super Beast, your us. I'm sure even more mainstream casts like Achievement Hunters and whatnot, all probably we're all in the same boat still. All of us who are in the know are all in the same boat where we all realized. I think Jim Sterling has the best touch on it, in which, I like to adopt non-apology, because that's basically what it was. So there were several things breaking it down for those who didn't know. You can watch Alan Brack's apology. It's pretty much available anywhere. You can just watch Sterling's video where he breaks it down. But here are the main problems with the apology. The apology was shat out in order to have the effect that, as John has noted, in the mainstream audience, the audience in a major sense, because as far as Blizzard's concerned, they don't care that our news sources are still pissed. They don't care about that. They're worried about the consumer base, because we're not playing Blizzard's games anymore anyways. They've lost us, and they understand that. But they wanted to win back the people who were one of two types. Either needed an excuse to support Blizzard again because they are shames, or those who were shamelessly supporting them anyways, which doesn't always make them bad people. Like John just was still in there, and I still think it's better to be honest about it than to be like parade with me, let's say, but then on the DL you're playing Overwatch behind my back. Yeah. I'd still rather you were just open that, like, it's not that you hate, it's not that you support what Blizzard was doing, but you're kind of on the party of, that was me shrugging, by the way. That comes across on audio so well, obviously, when I was shrugging a second ago. Yeah, but
what's that called? Virtue signaling?
Oh, I was gonna say.
Sorry, I just learned what that was.
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna say apathy, but yeah. Anyways, but what ended up happening? They got the result they wanted, and what happened is there were several problems with J. Allen Brack's apology, because some people will tell me, "Oh, you're nitpicking, right? No, someone can't just say sorry." Well, here's several problems with J. Allen Brack's apology. The breakdown. First of all, he just started talking. He didn't say what they're apologizing for. Kind of a big problem. I would say that most people would argue that when they're being apologized to, the issue must be addressed, because what are you apologizing for, right? Yeah. If John and I got into a big argument, we had like a drunken tiff or whatever happened, and then I go, "Hey, John, look, the other day, I'm sorry about the other day when I was fucking being a big twat and, I shat in your cereal or whatever, and that was my bad, bro. Hopefully we can move on, whatever, right?" But I addressed it and moved on, right? He just started going. He just started to go, guys, we're really sorry about what, right? Yeah. And then another problem. So first, he doesn't address the situation. He doesn't say what happened. Mm-hmm. He doesn't say who it happened to. And the biggest omission is he says that they're sorry and wishes there was something they could do, while Blitzchung is still suspended. There is something they can do. They can undo the suspension. So that's like beating a child and being like, "I'm really sorry this is happening," as you're doing it. You know what I mean? I'm so sorry. And then like you're just constantly, I know it's on the audio, it's going to sound like I'm jacking up in the background, which is really weird. But the point stands, regardless of what that comes across, what that sounds like I was doing. So would you say, even from a more neutral party, would you say that that's a bad apology still, though?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in the end, it was basically, you would... I'm not trying to just like bait you into like you have to say. I just think it's very agreeable that it was not a genuine apology, right?
Yeah, he
It's corporate quota.
His hands are tied.
People are,
yeah.
but exactly. But they're still in China's pocket, right? So it's one of those things that's just like... So they had to give some sort of apology, but there's a reason it came off as so insincere is because, well, it was. But I guess I hate the fact that a lot of people who are either looking for that excuse or just don't pay attention to the severity of the situation or are just... I like what Jim pointed out is that what that apology did is it made headlines, right? It made it say CEO of Blizzard apologizes. Even though when you read every one of those articles, well, most of those articles, they will say half-heartedly but we live in a community of... I know, it's really hard to not say. We live in a community of people who just read headlines.
Yeah.
I did this with that episode a few episodes ago where I made a certain fighting game community very mad.
Yeah.
I think that thing is that episode is one of our most reacted to and currently stands at a 5 likes, 80 dislikes ratio, I believe. So, but the funny thing is, if they listen to the context of the episode, I referenced that the CEO of that particular fighting game tournament made that joke, and we even said, especially Josh, said, the game's good. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to hit the mic. Sorry, guys. So, again, it's the context of just judging it based on a headline versus whatever, right? So by J. Allen Brack apologizing even half-heartedly, he got the headlines.
Yeah.
So most people didn't read those articles, and even less people watched the apology. So I remember seeing so many different cosplayers. Again, people with kind of a stake in forgiving Blizzard immediately going like, it's safe now. It became a safe zone, guys.
BlizzCon went out.
Even though the apocalypse is still happening around. The thing that pissed me off the most, though, there were two things, actually. One, J. Allen Brack wore an LGBTQ plus pin, support pin, Blizzard one, themed one, on his collar, like a fucking prick. Like a whole fucking... He knew people were going to look at that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was such bait, but I just... That frustrated me even more.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that pissed me off was all the protesters. First of all, just like in actual politics, like how Bernie Sanders... I don't mean to turn it that political, but just an example of this is when Bernie Sanders got hospitalized, and there were like a shitload of people who marched in support of him, and no major news outlet talked about that march, and people only knew about it through social media or whatever.
Yeah. This
is exactly what J. Allen Brack did, because a lot of the protests that were outside of BlizzCon were not reported on heavily.
You don't hear about it.
And what he did, and it's the line that pissed me off because he was so arrogant. Okay, people are going to say you're reading too deep, but given all the context, I felt it was arrogant because he goes, guys, we want to believe you have the right to express yourself. I saw a lot of you guys expressing yourself this morning. Tried to pull a Todd Howard, when Todd Howard made the whole, I'm surprised you guys still support us joke. You know what I mean? Like, J. Allen Brack basically took a page out of Howard's book and tried to just make light of we're still pissed. Don't prod us. You know what I mean? But I think what the problem is he knew that he had won already by doing this apology. Yeah. And the sad thing is, from what you've seen, and even from what I've seen, and the clean timeline, no one's mad anymore other than those who are still, like me, still saying, fuck you, Blizzard.
Yeah.
It's, unfortunately, our numbers have dwindled, and it worked, because I'm sure by the time Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 drop, which is still not for a while, it'll be so far removed now from the Hong Kong Blitzchung incident that they will do fine numbers-wise. I think if they had tried to release that the next day, there would have been big issues. Yeah. But I think that now they'll probably come off. Anyone who's going to buy it will probably buy it now. I think that all they've done is all the people who already were disgusted with Activision Blizzard are just more disgusted. And those who were temporarily mad were just given an excuse to forgive and forget.
I'll say 90% of the community is going to go back by the time any of these games drop.
Yeah, which is a shame. Because I'm not. I'm standing strong still, and I honestly just feel like I am done with it. But just like I'm one of the few outlets that really report on this nitty-gritty, I feel like it's just the same thing. People sometimes like their little... utopian society in their minds and don't want to know about how the world really is. And as long as their bubble is fine, they could care less what's going on outside of it. And I'm not saying people do this consciously. I'm not saying that some people do.
They don't. No, you're right.
But I just feel, but the majority don't. And because of that, but yeah, moving on, to beat the dead horse. Obviously, for those of you who this is a recap episode, whatever. But any final comments to tie that up before we move on? There's a part B to this, but anything else? I mean, I know I kind of just stranglehold that, but yeah.
Couple quick bullet points.
Yeah.
I think your point leads to exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
That, we, and I consider myself we very loosely, are still aware and not happy with the bullshit they pulled. But they, being everyone else, the people, whatever, they're fine. They don't fucking care.
Yep.
I mean, most of the news cycles are covering the impeachment. Nobody's even talking about China anymore.
Right.
So, works out the way it always does.
Exactly, which is a shame. It's just political sidestepping as in its, normal state, as always.
Yeah, I will concur. That is a really arrogant thing to pull.
Oh, the other thing, too, is that they're in the very first part where he kind of, wraps up part A of his statement, he even pauses for applause. Almost didn't get it, so he started talking, got the applause, and for a split second broke character and even smirked. You can see it. It's right then and there. Jim points it out very blatantly, but even in the non-pause, unaltered footage, you see it. He was starting to move on. Everyone cheered, and he just couldn't help himself. He cracked a little smile and immediately turned somber again. Boy. If you were really somber, would you have smiled when people clapped? No. Of course. You would have just been like, oh,
boy,
yeah,
it must be the best job in the world to be PR. You get paid millions of dollars to be a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, in this case, CEO doing PR is even worse.
It's fantastic.
But anyways, but your point stands. Your point, it was a sad thing because when we talked about it the other day, I was like, we're going to cover this more. You're right, though. Unfortunately, most people have forgotten and forgive.
News cycles moved on, and like you said, people digest everything in bites now. I don't know if you've noticed with a lot of TV shows that are made by streaming services, they're cut to 10 minutes.
Yeah. And I think a lot of issues, too, is the fact that this is just another case example that people still don't take video games as a serious industry.
Yeah, true.
Even though they curb stomp the movie industry a lot of times, especially when something like Halo drops and just eclipse, or even Red Dead. Red Dead 2 is the biggest selling piece of media ever. Not video games.
Beat GTA?
Not just,
Beat GTA 5?
Yeah.
Nice.
At launch, already beat GTA 5's lifetime numbers.
Good job.
It's crazy. But yeah, Red Dead 2 is that last part was a bit of hyperbole probably, but it did surpass GTA's at least launch.
Go Rockstar.
It probably has by now. But anyways, but for sure though, the non-hyperbole part is that it is the best-selling piece of media. Movies, whatever, it's just eclipsed all of that.
Time to release Endgame again.
Yeah, basically. It's one of those things where, even when you look at the day one sales numbers, everything.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, just like that. So, that's the thing. I think it also lends to the fact that people still don't take video games seriously. When something politically charged happens, like being anti-free speech or anti-Hong Kong, people still don't see exactly. Even when something that major happens, people just shrug it off as it's some video game company doing it, as if that's any better or worse than anyone else doing it.
I feel like that's how things were in the 80s when some CEO got caught with his pants down.
Right.
It's he's fine. He's a good guy.
Right. So call me extremist, but I remember some people were not happy on social media when I made a statement that I still stand by. Again, call it alarmist, call it an extremist exaggeration, whatever. When I said, if Trump had done the same thing, y'all would be mad. But because Blizzard can do something that Trump does, y'all just... I like my Overwatch.
Yeah.
I like my Overwatch. So then I made another statement later on just to tie that even more together. And I said, so if Trump made Overwatch and Diablo, y'all be cool. And no one really wanted to, obviously, take up that mantle.
I'll take that.
It's one of those things where it's just I
like Overwatch.
Yeah,
man.
And it's one of those things where I was just trying to prove these people. And the reason I was trying to make that statement is these same people that were just big cowards and didn't want to speak up about it or get into it with me.
Yeah.
The reason I made that point is these are the same people who are like, fuck Trump. So I'm like, so you're selective now. You know what I mean? It's like, so
Yeah.
now you're cherry picking where your political stances go because one company can do it because they like the game you like,
Yeah.
but Trump can't do it because he makes fuck all that you like.
Yeah.
So, anyways. So part B of the story is that Jeff Kaplan of Overwatch spoke up and said that he didn't agree with the Blitzchung thing and the Blizzard thing.
Cancel.
There's a couple of things that are problematic. Jeff Kaplan is the lead of the Overwatch team who works for Activision Blizzard, so you could, since they're on a different team than, say, the Diablo team or the Hearthstone team, it's either the most believable thing or the most Blizzard shooting their toe off instead of their head off, where they're kind of like, well, if one of our divisions speaks up about this, it'll gain us more brownie points because now Jeff Kaplan is saying, the head of Overwatch is saying he disagrees with us, but it's fine because that'll make us the Overwatch dollars, which goes to Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Which means we're going to make more Call of Duty and everything else.
Boo.
So it's one of those things where it's just like, they fucked up Call of Duty, they fucked up Destiny,
Yeah.
they're fucking up Overwatch, and they fucked up all this other stuff. So anyways,
Yeah, Activision sucks ass.
it's one of those things where that's what I feel like it could have been, right? But at the same time, it almost did. Jeff Kaplan almost did seem sincere. He either is a really good actor or was sincere in his when he spoke out, because he made it very clear that that's his personal opinion and does not reflect the opinions of anyone, even on the Overwatch team, let alone Blizzard and Activision. So his separation, again, was either just a really smart move to make it even seem more believable, or Jeff was being genuine.
Yeah.
He was honest, he brought up a very, like I said, he played it either really well or the dude was just being goddamn honest. I'm sorry to keep repeating myself on that. It's just, he played it the grounds very good. He spoke very well, because he even brought up that when the Overwatch incident happened, when Pro Overwatch first started, 3 years ago, that one of the pro players made homophobic remarks, and he was only banned for like a month. Blitzchung talks about his home country and is banned for a year. So he was kind of talking about how, like, where's the disconnect there, where it almost says that it's fine to be homophobic, but it's bad to stand up for your freedom. And he kind of talked about, the disconnect there in terms of the severity of punishment maybe should have been the other way around, or
Gay
otherwise.
doesn't pay anybody.
Well, yeah, but the point being is...
No, I get it. I'm just saying that's exactly why. That's what it always comes down to. It's money.
Well, yeah. But if that made everything better, then Trump would be the best president on earth. So
Oof.
there's that.
You can't fix stupid.
But anyways, so he made that point, and then he talked about how even when they suspended the other dude, that they had taken like weeks to talk about it, whereas the Blitzchung thing was like instantaneous. Like within hours, they had already banned him. So just a few things. He treaded gingerly and spoke honestly. So again, it made it very hard to tell whether it was just, if there was a hand in his back or not, if that makes any sense.
I don't know. From the outset, it sounds like he's just kind of covering his ass, because lawyers be up in them cheeks if he ever decides, if it ever comes about that he's trying to make that the standpoint for Overwatch as a whole.
Yeah.
Blizzard could be like, oh well, you're canceled.
Right. So,
but it also, like you said, it works out for them because now Overwatch is humanized and they're the good guys.
Yeah, so it's weird because that almost sounded like a perfect. I don't know. They tied the bow really well on that shit cake, so I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. If Jeff was being honest, though, then I do appreciate him for having the balls to speak up about something that could have got him in trouble.
Yeah,
because he still works for Activision Blizzard, so he could have easily got shit canned. I don't know, it's weird. I kind of wish that someone had taken up Epic Games on their bold claim where, amidst the controversy, Riot Games aligned with Blizzard and was just like, yeah, if anyone did that at one of our league tournaments, we basically would have done the same thing. Is kind of what the stance they took. In so many words, I'm obviously watering it down. But
yeah,
Epic Games made the very bold claim where they were just like, we don't care. Say that shit at our tournaments, where they're owned by like over half of their companies owned by China.
Tencent, yeah,
owns like a majority stake in Epic. So that's why it was really hard to tell how much Epic was bullshitting, because if anyone should have done what Blizzard did, it was them.
Epic's like that cool guy movie trope who says they're gonna do like great stuff.
That's why I wish someone
stuff.
That's why I wish someone called them out on their bluff, because you remember back in February when we first started the cast and we talked about Epic Games kind of like
we're gonna
parading as the good guys. Basically,
Yeah.
we're just trying to make Steam less evil. Basically, is what they're kind of saying in so many words, and then they became the bad. Like it's me,
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what happened, and it's just stupid. Epic Games at this point, I wish someone called them out on their bluff because I think they are bullshitting. I feel like the first person to say "Liberate Hong Kong" on their stream would have also gotten fucking hella banned.
Easily.
So I don't know. I wish someone called them out on their bullshit.
I say easily, but we don't know. Yeah, it'd be great if anybody's listening out there.
Yeah, do it. Do it at the next Fortnite tournament.
Please do. Oh God, please do.
Yeah, basically. All right, so
yes,
Anthem.
$5. I'll give you Anthem.
Well, that's a good deal because they're going to fix Anthem.
Wait, really? They resurrect BioWare?
According to BioWare and EA, fear not. Anthem is going to be worked on again, almost from the ground up even, and shall return at an unnamed date, despite being on EA Access and the discount bins across America. They're coming back as either Anthem 2.0 or even called Anthem Next, which was just an exact ripoff of No Man's Sky Next, which was a thing when they fixed it, and now they're just going to call it Anthem Next.
God, they have no shame, EA.
Yeah, so apparently they think people give a fuck still, but it's funny because they said all this bullshit and didn't explain any roadmap or plans or anything. It was like, yeah, we're gonna fix Anthem. No worries. We just kind of canceled the game, but we're gonna save. It was weird.
It's that classic.
And then gave fucking. I don't know. I think they were just trying to test the waters to see who cared, and no one did. So I don't think they will.
Actually, that's kind of smart of them if they did it that way. Because
I think I gave them too much credit.
Yeah. But yeah, nobody gives a shit about Anthem anymore. I'm sorry, you had your chance at bat and you failed. You struck out miserably. So just do what you're gonna do. Just call it something else.
Exactly.
Yeah, nobody cares about Anthem. Anthem's dead. Sorry, BioWare. Very sorry.
Don't be sorry. Oh yeah, sorry to BioWare.
Yeah, but
that they were forced to that.
Yeah.
But all right, so are you ready for the main topic, which is the Google Stadia, which just recently launched?
So polluting my YouTube.
So
ad.
from what you know or don't know,
yeah,
because who knows?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Stadia? What do you know or don't know?
I know
about the Stadia.
I know I laugh every time I see that ad on my YouTubes.
Oh god, that cringy ad.
Yeah, that's that. First of all, yeah, and then the way they propose that Stadia moves from screen to screen, and I was like, yeah, if you have the speed for it, like if you have the connectivity.
So far, you're nailing it on the head. Keep going, buddy.
It's just, and then they don't advertise what games are going to be on there. I mean, we already talked about that, but it's all very flash in the pan, like, oh, this looks cool, this looks fun, you're gonna enjoy it, you can play, you can never stop gaming, but how? They don't give you any meat with those ads. Wow. And they are cringy as fuck.
So yeah, it's appropriate you say that, right? Because that's all anyone does seem to know about Stadia, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the funny thing. So this is what they brag about, right? You had a very good concerns and stuff like that. Speed, right? Who has that speed? They do have very unrealistic demands. On top of that, what else? So you got to switch between screen to screen. What games, so on and so forth. Right? They brag about all these things. They had all these features. So before it came out, we had an episode right before and an episode right after it came out, because that's how time works. I don't know why I said it like that. Well, I guess the reason I was trying to make that point is we had one of our episodes where we talked about the pre-launch.
Yeah.
That literally hours before it came out, and then we had another one a few days after. So it was perfect timing in terms of covering it.
Yeah.
Fully. Before it came out, here is a very long list of what is omitted from the beginning, despite being promised as major features of the Stadia. Mm-hmm. Here's all the things that were missing.
Jeez, now, look at that text.
Remember this. When people fight with me, right? Because several people fought with me over the Stadia being experimental. Tech has to be introduced to be evolved, so on and so forth.
Valid.
Here's the biggest problem and why that's invalid. Because they're launching it as a full console, and they're launching it as a competitor to the Xbox and PlayStation. If Google, and it's also Google who has killed off tons of products, if Google had initially said, yo, we got this idea, we're trying it out, we're doing test units, this is our big beta, I would have been like, this is so stupid, but it's an experiment.
Yeah.
So fuck it. But the fact that they're just like, Xbox, PlayStation, Stadia, it's just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
All right.
Alright.
Now, of course, yes, I know.
Calm
The
down,
actually crowd is going to say they've never literally said that. But it is being pushed as a full console. That much they're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're trying to step their game up.
Exactly. So here's what's going to be missing from this console. Imagine all of this missing from a PlayStation and Xbox at launch, which some of this was, but that's aside the point.
Is one of the things a controller? Because I feel like that's going to be one of the things.
I know, right? Well, there's something regarding the controller, so you're not too far away. All right. Here's what's missing on day one of the Stadia. It will not support 4K, HDR, or 5.1 surround sound.
What?
That will be added in 2020 for PC players, and Lord knows ever to the other ways to play it. It will be missing Stream Connect, which will allow a player to be able to integrate their viewpoint into another player's stream. So I explained this really badly on the other episode because we had a guest on there, and I was just kind of explaining it kind of shittily, but here's basically what happened. I'm streaming, right? And you're playing with me.
Yeah.
And it'll allow to show both of your POV and my POV for this stream or whatever game we're playing, both points. That will not be at launch.
Interesting. That's a cool concept.
May be available by the end of the year. Probably not.
Probably not. Come on.
State share and what they call crowd play, which will be able to share files. So I could be playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey and you could pick up where I left off.
Like on a different Stadia?
Fuck all reason like you'd want to do that.
So wait. So you're playing on your Stadia that you have for some reason, and you're playing Black Flag, and you're like, here, bro, take the wheel.
I'm stuck on this stupid ass part where I keep getting stabbed by this guy. You do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's me on a different Stadia
Essentially.
that I have for some reason.
The idea.
As well.
So I generate a link because here's the thing. Wooly dumbed it down to the most easy extent like months ago, and it made me laugh because it really is just what Stadia is. It's just a website. That's all Stadia really is. It's a streaming. It's just a website.
Yeah.
Like Netflix through your Xbox or through your Chromecast is just a website essentially streaming to your device. This is the same thing. So Stadia is just a website.
Okay.
So it's funny, right? So these save files will basically, I'll create if you've ever shared anything, if you're an Android user, I don't know much about the Apple world, but if you're an Android user, right, and I share a photo, and you know how like you can do Google Photos and generate a link?
Yeah, of course.
Like that, but with save files.
Oh, that's interesting.
Again, interesting ideas, but doesn't matter because that's going to be missing.
Didn't PlayStation do something like that?
That I don't remember. They did do the next thing, well, a similar version of the next thing, which is, you know, you can hand over the controls. Like, that we both have to be playing and both have a good connection, and then if I'm playing, I can hand you the controls and you can stream to my...
But it's on Sony's network.
Oh, God, I know. Fucking bad network. The second thing is crowd play, which, say PewDiePie is playing a game, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, yo, I'm going to be playing Broforce. Alright, guys, so through the power of Stadia, you guys can join my stream and play with me. It's these weird ideas that are just as stupid and unrealistic as the console itself.
I love that Google's doing it because this is literally the...
Oh, don't worry, they're not doing it because those also are not available at launch and will maybe sometime next year. So
this is the Google Plus of consoles. This is great.
Yeah, basically. At launch, the Google Assistant will have limited integration with the Stadia despite being a Google product. It will be able to do stuff as much as turn on the TV and start a game. All other Assistant compatibility features will be coming at a later time. So fuck it, I guess. By the way, there's a Google Assistant button on the Stadia controller. Yeah, that doesn't work either. So one day that'll work as well. Christ.
Keep going. Yeah. I want to Google what the controller looks like.
No. Oh, wait, yeah. Go ahead and look that up real quick then, because that does become relevant to the later parts of this.
I want to see what this is.
Family sharing. Oh, this was a big thing they bragged about, right? Is that especially if you're a family, right? Or if you and I make a bro joint family account or whatever.
Yeah.
The big thing was, right, we could share the duty of buying games. Like, you pay for Black Flag, I'll pay for Outer Worlds. But we have it on our account, so now we can both play.
Yeah, your Google
either
account
or, right?
So, yeah, okay. Interesting.
That won't be available until sometime next year. So if you want to play with your friends or your family members, you have to buy multiple copies of the account, which will then later become irrelevant. Now,
okay, but Google already has everything. So where's
this is the great thing before I forget. How would you like to buy your games? Because first of all, people think that this is the Netflix of games. It's not. You still have to buy the games wholesale. These are $60 games you're buying, whatever, right?
Yeah.
How would you like to buy your games? How do you buy your games when you're playing on Xbox or PlayStation when you buy a game? And you don't do physical. Say you buy the game.
Through, live, go to the shop.
On your console, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry, you can't do that on Stadia. You have to go through the Google Play Store on your phone and buy the game, which will then download onto your Stadia console.
Outstanding. Why isn't it?
You can't even buy the games through the console.
That's what I'm saying. Why isn't that just the default marketplace? It's a fucking Google machine.
Yes, exactly.
I will say one positive thing about the controllers. I do like the color scheme on this this light blue one. That's nice, but a more rounded PS4 controller, sure, that's what I've always asked for.
Oh man, you're gonna love
minus the share button.
You're gonna love the later story. So let's keep moving on. Let's keep trudging along.
I'm so excited about it.
Isn't it good so far? Okay,
Jeez,
so
it's as much as a goddamn Elite controller.
Dude, it's bad. We'll get into that.
A little cheaper, but yeah.
So Oh, by the way, there's gonna be no Stadia UI for achievements on launch.
Cool.
Now, the games you play, they'll try to retrofit those achievements in the future when they add achievements, but those are also missing from launch. Even an achievement system, which they have in their mobile games, by the way. If you ever played a Google mobile game where you have your Google Play account that has to be linked, that has achievements.
How does one of the most successful companies in the world consistently fuck up things this bad?
Oh, God, it keeps going on, buddy. Now, everyone who doesn't know, the Google Stadia console itself is just a Chromecast Ultra, right? Google Stadia will not work on all Chromecast Ultras. It will only work on the Chromecast Ultra that's shipped with your Stadia controller if you bought a Founders Pack. Later on, sometime in the future, the regular Chromecast Ultra will get an over-the-air update that will allow it to play Stadia. But for now, your totally compatible thing will not be compatible at launch.
Keep going, man. This is great. I haven't laughed this hard in a while.
Oh, here's another gem. I'm going to keep saying this every single time.
That's okay.
One of the first things they bragged about is that for early adopters, they really want you to get that Stadia hype train going, so they're going to give you a buddy pass, which allows you to give a 3-month Stadia trial to a friend to play with you, right? Probably at launch, right? So you could grab Broforce. It's not even on. Broforce not even on. I just like using that as an example because I love Broforce.
Yeah.
But the 3-buddy pass, say the first free game, because you do the $9.99 Elite Stadia membership, or the fuck it's called, does give you one free game a month or whatever. So we'll see, whatever, right? But let's just say that free game, I want you to get that service because the first free game ever is it was Destiny 2, by the way, which went free to play on everything else. After they announced it was supposed to be a free-to-play exclusive for Stadia. But anyways, we want to get on that Destiny 2 hype, let's say. So you can get on Stadia and get Destiny 2, right? That is also not going to be available at launch. It's going to be available about 2 weeks, give or take. They couldn't even give a time frame. So now to do this cool thing where I'm trying to get you to play Destiny 2 with me will happen about 2 or 3 weeks after launch.
So what launches?
I know, right?
So why even buy it at launch?
That's what these guys are wondering. So as we go on, remember the cool thing you talked about? What was one of the cool things that they bragged about that you could do in the commercial? You could do what when you're? You gotta go.
Like, I'm over here and I'm playing on my big screen in my room.
Okay.
And I want to go play on my little TV in the kitchen for some reason.
That will only be available at launch if you have a Google phone or tablet. It doesn't work with anything else at the moment. So
How the fuck does
if
that...
you don't, oh, you have a Chromebook, it'll work on there too. So only things with Google Chrome or Chrome OS will run that multi-screen thing. Support will be added at a later time for Android stuff, which, by the way, Google owns Android, so it should be available on all Android devices, but it's not.
Ooh,
So, and then at some point, maybe iOS also, kind of, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, but the only support up to the end of the year, for sure, will be Google devices, like Google Pixel and Chrome OS tablets.
Boy, that's a heap and help and a horseshit right there. That's...
The Stadia's controller. We're going to touch on the controller a couple of times. This is the first time. The Stadia's controller, the wireless function, despite the fact that it's a Bluetooth controller, will only work with Stadia. To use the controller with any other device, like a PC or what have you, has to be hardwired connected.
Oh.
Despite the fact that it's a Bluetooth controller.
Does it even have a port?
It does.
Okay.
For charging.
Okay.
12 titles. Eventually, now there was an addendum, they added a few more when everyone laughed at this. 12 titles will be available for purchase at launch, and we'll get to what those titles are.
But can you play them at launch?
Well, depending on your internet connection, maybe.
Ooh.
Google Stadia is estimated to reach, at highest quality, which I already said 4K wouldn't be available at launch, estimated average of about 20 gigabytes an hour. Most ISPs would start staggering your internet after about 2 or 3 hours of Stadia play. So where are you supposed to play this?
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to stream this to your phone? Can you imagine burning through... Don't worry, though. If you run at 720p, it'll be about 15.75 gigs an hour. Can you imagine running like 15 gigs an hour on your phone?
No.
Your phone would just stop. Like, you'd go down to that kilobyte per second emergency data, essentially, after a couple hours.
Why would you play this on your phone, though? What? Why?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. I'm sorry. 4.5 gigs an hour.
Oh.
You're still going to play 10 hours a month, essentially, is what you'd be able to play on most phone plans. Because even unlimited phone plans have, when you read the fine print, have some sort of cap.
Yeah,
so,
you still have a data cap.
Yeah. My unlimited plan starts staggering me at 50 to a second tier, then after 100 to another tier, it starts. So if you're playing Stadia on that bullshit, Because again, the appeal's supposed to be switching freely, to my phone, to my tablet, to my PC, to whatever. Yeah, there's that. The Google Stadia, the $10 a month Stadia Pro subscription.
How are they going
unknown what this is going to... They'd like to offer you services like Sony and Microsoft with free games a month. You'll get at least one, but we'll figure out in the future is essentially their wording.
But, like, how is that going to... See, they're really banking on a lot of people getting this, because $10 a month, that's not... How's that going to cover the cost of what they're investing with their games?
Right. I don't know. Fuck them. And the next thing... before you switch, so when you switch from PC to tablet or what have you, PC to tablet or to your TV or whatever, right, with your Chromecast?
Yeah.
How did the commercial make it look?
It's seamless.
According to this, please allow at least 10 minutes on the device you're switching from before shutting it down to allow it to go to the other screen and go exactly where you left off.
Oh, this is silly. This is just...
And if games that are not fit to HD standard, Stadia will use letterboxing to fit the image onto a screen and crop it if any game that isn't standardized for 1080p is on Stadia.
I feel like we're reading the rough draft of an SNL skit.
It's really fucking bad, dude.
Oh man, what are you thinking? What are they thinking? What's the justification behind trying to release this? We can do it too, guys. We're a big tech company. We make monies.
Let's see what awesome games you can play on Stadia at launch.
Let's get to that. I'm curious.
12 games were announced at launch, as we previously stated.
It's a decent library.
Here are the 12 games. The 12 so new games.
Is it Skyrim?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only about a fucking year old or two.
Yeah.
Destiny 2, which is free to play everywhere. An exclusive called Guilt. Looks pretty cool. It's a little platformer, cutesy monster platformer thing.
Is that GUI
as a platformer,
or
GYLT.
GYLT?
Just Dance 2020. You can all imagine how good that's going to fucking run.
Yeah.
Kine. I don't know what the fuck that was. It showed like a weird hammer. And here's where it gets great. Mortal Kombat 11. A fighting game where you're going to be streaming and then playing a fighting game via streaming online. So the online, the streaming of the game, the online, and then just natural latency.
Jesus.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Good fucking luck.
Running an 80 gig game, or 80 plus gig game over streaming. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider. The fuck? Why? Okay. Those games are all fucking old. I mean, the newest one's on there, but I mean, that's still like almost 2 years old. And then the rest of them are even older.
Right.
Samurai Showdown, another fighting game. And then some game called Thumper. Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck about that?
So they got chastised for having such a shit launch. So they promised that before the end of the year, the other games are coming. Attack on Titan 2. Borderlands 3.
Keck.
Darksiders Genesis. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. That game's like fucking like 3 years old.
That game's ancient.
Farming Simulator 19.
Lol.
Final Fantasy 15. Football Manager 2020. Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Grid, which I'm almost sure is like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Metro Exodus. NBA 2K20.
By 2
That game will play amazing, by the way, on Stadia. Rage 2. Trials Rising. And Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Oof. Stellar. Can't wait.
So, that's a bunch of fucking bullshit, right? So how do you think the launch went? Alright, so that's the pre-launch, right? That's all the news that dropped the hours before, the day before / hours before they announced all the shit we're missing.
Uh-huh.
How do you think the launch went for their first few days?
Sorry about the noise, guys.
You're good.
Shifting around here.
Shifting around. I will let John do that.
Shifting a bit.
Yeah.
I want to say that they sold tens of units.
So we won't know for sure, but here's a few stories to clarify on exactly
we'll never know for sure.
Yeah. Here's how their launch went.
Yeah.
First of all, Gene Park, journalist at Washington Post, posted a GIF that just went viral. It's sort of a video, but the GIF went viral.
Yeah.
Of him playing Destiny 2. Now, for those who don't know, at Washington Post, he played it at home and at the Washington Post office. He has great internet at home, and he has, arguably, Washington Post at the Capitol has some of the greatest internet, if not the best internet, in the United States of America, period.
Maybe the world.
Well, no, because Japan and Korea have that. But, definitely in the States. In the clip, or GIF, he presses space, looks at the camera and waves, and then the character jumps. Under ideal internet conditions, there was about a 1 Mississippi latency. Then there were other times he'd press it and it was fine, but then he'd press it again and there's a second of delay. Imagine playing Crucible, in which, assuming everyone had perfect internet, still has a second of lag in between each player.
So it's like you load up and you hear, show, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And get to Guardian 10 minutes later.
Basically.
Then you can start the match.
So that went around, and that was definitely a thing. Now, there are several people who did report that the Stadia ran fine for them. I don't know if they're lucky or liars, but that's a thing.
Yeah.
Another big thing that happened was the Founders Edition. A lot of people got emails on launch day, or shortly before, and it said, problem, and it was really from Google. This was not a phishing scam or anything. There's a problem with your order. A hold has been put on it. Please click this to resolve. And have your Founders Edition shipped. It canceled the orders. So
I was gonna make a joke about how do they have to fill out a form that was open to everyone, but like Jesus, it's just as bad. Like, okay, maybe not just as bad, but wow.
So what a lot of people think happened is that Google did not keep up with demand, did not produce enough units. Because they probably really did think what we're thinking, which is, who the fuck?
Yeah.
But apparently a lot of people wanted it. And I think that a lot of people think is that was the best way that they could get people to cancel their orders would make it look like a kerfuffle and absorb that.
So lie to
as
them?
opposed to saying we didn't produce enough units. essentially lying to them, but it makes them look like, oh, our customer service email had a fluke.
But the professionals do it all the time. Like, hey guys, we didn't make enough. Sorry. You know.
Some people claim that the link did work, but a lot of people claim that it just canceled their order.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what was intended.
I mean, there were those fake Twitter accounts that came out. Because for anyone who doesn't know, Microsoft's been working on you have PlayStation Now. And then Microsoft's been working on a version of game streaming as well called xCloud, which will basically do what Stadia does, but probably will work because that's why Microsoft is taking so long to beta test it.
Yeah, because they're professionals.
But a bunch of accounts with like no tweets and no followers appeared on launch day and said, "Works better than Xbox One still, am I right?"
What? There's fake accounts on Twitter?
Jeez, and it's just so funny that like Google was likely stooping to that as well. Or, trust me, I don't think sympathizers really exist. So a lot of people obviously had problems running it because most people don't have great internet. So those with even good internet doesn't work. You can only imagine how bad it worked for people who have bad internet. So they put out a little bit of a guide on what to do if your Stadia ain't running quite at top-notch performance. Two highlights that I'm going to go through is a whole guide, but buy a better router. Yeah, just drop a few $100s. Get a better router.
Yeah. At
that point, why not just get an actual console? And the other thing, make sure no one else on your house is using the internet when you play Stadia. Because it might not work if you have other people playing. What the fuck, dude? The controller is really flimsy and shitty. Apparently, most people compare it to what you would call the shitty third-party controller you would give a friend when they come over to play multiplayer games with you. Except it's the OG controller, as you saw, which cost quite a bit.
Hilarious.
But I believe that's the one with the Chromecast, but still. The other flop was the fact that they announced back in the day that Destiny 2 was going to be a free-to-play title for them, only for Destiny to announce that it was going to become free-to-play for everybody, so that kind of fell through the loop that their first big free game ended up being already free for everybody prior to the launch of Stadia.
What if they they were privy to the fact that Bungie was going to do that, and they just try to latch that on as like a boost?
Possibly. But I could also see Bungie being like, this console's not real, I'm going to just give it to everybody else.
Yeah, right.
I could also see it that way, but yeah, possibly. But here's the great thing. I wrapped up the last episode on this, and I'm ready to wrap it up on this one. All that sounds great. But Google, I have to just not try to cut and paste my segment, but it came out so well, I really liked it. But Google is really, really good at marketing, obviously, right? Clearly, from all this, they've shown they're absolute geniuses, right?
200%.
Phil Harrison of Google, big man at Google, wanted to let everyone know that Google's changing the game. What do you think of when you think of video games? Please. You think of girls? Or do you think of boys? You think of boys, right? Because video games, it's a primarily male thing, right?
Yeah.
Not for Google, man. Google's 2019 progressive, bro. They are proudly introducing, for those who are going to buy your Stadia,
oh man,
you will have the comfort of knowing that Google will be bringing you gender-neutral controllers.
What does that mean?
The very progressive people at Google will be bringing you gender-neutral colored controllers, which include the following colors: white, black, and green. Those controller colors clearly don't exist on the other consoles. Because if you play Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch, you're a misogynist.
Yeah.
But thanks to Stadia, you're free to go, man, with your gender. They announced it with such confident gusto of like the Stadia, even if the Stadia flops, will be going down in history as
the first gender-neutral,
gender-progressive company.
See, that's why I'm putting my money on. They heard Destiny 2 is going to be free, and they just tacked onto that shit. They're like, yeah, this is what the people are liking right now. Let's make it our thing.
Yeah, it's funny because even like non-binary and other and feminist sites like the way they reacted to that announcement was like, what? They were like, what the fuck is this weird pandering to us that is not working? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, how is that? Oh, by the way, guys, for those who like to be to try to think that that'll appeal to a cis Asian male like me, they like to call it wasabi green. So there's that.
That's the best thing. Because one, it's not.
Yeah, it's black. It's black, white, and wasabi green.
It's
so
not wasabi green though. It's like aqua. It looks like the Switch light.
It's a weird one. And then Pat from Castle Super Beast predicts 18 months of the Stadia. We'll see. His predictions are pretty good.
Generous,
but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know, man. What do you think though? And all this being said, do you think the Stadia could get better, will get better, or do you think it was even a good or novel idea? What are your honest, if they're cynical too, so be it, but what are your honest thoughts on the Stadia, despite all this that's been, all this is true, but what are your wrap-up thoughts on the Stadia?
You said Wooly said it, that it's essentially just a website?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a neat idea, what they're proposing, but having it as a console seems a little much, a little extra.
Yeah.
There's no need. Just make a streaming site for games. You have, buy all the license to these games to charge people a premium, like maybe $40 a month. That seems fair. You get a free game a month, a AAA title that's brand new. That's not a bad idea, but trying to break into a market that's been firmly in the grasp of these two giants for almost 2 decades now. More so now, right? Because what's PlayStation? 1996? 95?
Yeah, 94 maybe, give or take, around that time, mid-90s.
And then Xbox is what, 99?
Xbox I thought was 2001.
Okay.
I want to say, but still.
Yeah.
It's been a long time running for both.
Yeah, exactly. Point being, they came too hard too quick, and they came with a lot of great ideas, but they had nothing to build those ideas on. There's no foundation here.
Well, and here's the other weird thing, right, is that they launched this future console, right? When the new Xbox and PlayStation are both coming out next year.
Yeah.
And theirs is not even able to do what last gen has been doing. So it's kind of a weird, people always kind of see Nintendo as this weird half-step console too, because they always come out at a weird time. Mm-hmm. One, because they're also balancing a handheld along with it, but then two, just because they're not really competing with Xbox and PlayStation, so Nintendo just does their own thing, so they come out when they want to. That
was the point I was going to make, how GameCube came out right as we were going into the last gen.
Mm-hmm. And then Wii U came out in the middle to second half of 360 and PS3.
Yeah, but it's like you said, Nintendo is a competitor, yes, but they're not trying to keep up with Sony or Microsoft.
They're not, and they've explicitly said that, especially Iwata
Yeah.
has said that several times, that the key to success for their company is doing their own thing.
That's why Nintendo's so baller, man. They don't give a shit about what they're doing. Yeah, they're gonna be no matter what.
And it's why, Xbox really doesn't have many mascots. PlayStation had a lot that their mascots are just now openly on, Crash, Lara Croft
Spyro.
are just everywhere now, but they used to be exclusive to PlayStation.
I feel like mascot is kind of passe.
But Nintendo has kind of always shown that they definitely need third-party support to be a great console, but even with their first-party games and all the stuff that they do with their first-party, there's still a huge fan base that is there for their IPs, and it is why I wholeheartedly believe, in light of maybe a very, very rare cameo, you will never really see a proper Mario game on Xbox or anything.
Oh, yeah.
With their nice, friendly, buddy-buddy relationship between Microsoft and Xbox, I can maybe see them letting them use Mario in a Easter egg or something on a new Halo game, or maybe coming out if they do another Banjo game, like how they let Banjo be in Smash.
Yeah.
I can see them maybe doing a crossover like that, or a cameo. But I would say that Nintendo would likely die before ever having a proper Mario game or Zelda game come out on another console.
Yeah, no.
I really think Nintendo is Nintendo, and they will always see themselves as this those are their babies, and the way they've kept them so well amassed and taken care of like pristine figures versus PlayStation, who lets everyone borrow their figures now, and then Xbox, who never had many figures to begin with.
Yeah, right.
Because between Marcus Phoenix, Master Chief, and the guy from Quantum Break.
I don't know, the McLaren, because Forza.
Yeah, right. So it's one of those things where Microsoft. But to be fair, Microsoft, you could also argue, has never been one for wanting to be a mascot parading guys either.
Yeah, Sony only did it to try and compete with Nintendo. That's
Exactly,
why we got
which is
Crash
true.
and all
Which is
those.
why we got all that stuff, and then they no longer competed with Nintendo, so they saw the no point in doing so. Which is why you can get Spyro and Crash on Nintendo now.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. But yeah, anyways, to wrap it up, we beat a dead horse. That's it. Thank you guys. If you guys have any comments, make sure to hit us up below. We're going to what? I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. You can hit us up at disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com. And on this upcoming episode, this Monday, which is a few days after this, is because it's totally Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, guys.
Happy
It is Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so,
it is. Happy Thanksgiving.
this is totally live.
This is TLR.
Yeah, there you go. TRL.
No, I said it
Or
the
TLR.
other way on purpose.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant
So they wouldn't... yeah.
that. That's what it is. Anyways, on this upcoming episode, we're going to have content creator. I'm not sure how she wanted us to address her properly yet. But for sure, content creator Kyla Massey will be joining us on the upcoming episode of Disconnected, because we're very excited to welcome her on, and we'll just see how that episode goes, because like all of our shows, pretty much entirely improv other than a curated docket that I put together. So yeah, thank you guys for always joining us like always. It's been great to see the growth of the podcast over time. We've gone from averaging 80 to 100 downloads to averaging 200. For between last month and this one, we're already almost at 1,000 in 2 months. So it's been going really, really good. We appreciate all the continued support, and we appreciate all those who are hyping up the anticipation of the next coming episode. So
Very much so.
yes, thank you all so much. Thank you, John, again for joining me for another monthly edition of Reconnected Cast.
Always a pleasure.
And it's time to go film that promo, so we'll catch you guys every once a month, last Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And until the next episode, we'll see you guys then. See ya.
Have a great week. And one last thing, guys. Tickets are on sale for PAX South now, so make sure you pick yours up, because you just might see us there.
I will learn to strike, I will learn to fly. I will learn to kill, I don't learn to die. Taking back the walls, taking back our life. Strike on every tank until they out of sight. I will learn to stand, I don't learn to fall.